But do you feel like people define you by the fact that you're wealthy, and that they define you in a pejorative way?
For sure. I mean, not everyone, but
Right.
you know, there's for sure in recent years, billionaire has become a it's a pejorative. So it's like that's a bad thing. Which I mean, I think doesn't make a lot of sense in most cases. If you basically organized a company, how does this wealth arise? It's if you organize people in a better way to produce products and services that are better than what existed before, and you have some ownership in that company, then that essentially gives you the right to allocate more capital. So there's a conflation of consumption and capital allocation. So let me take Warren Buffett, for example. And to be totally frank, I'm not his biggest fan, but you know, he does a lot of capital allocation. And he reads a lot of sort of annual reports of companies and all the accounting, and it's pretty boring, really. And he's trying to figure out does Coke or Pepsi deserve more capital? I mean, it's kind of a boring job if you ask me. But you know, it's still a thing that's important to figure out, like is a company deserving of more or less capital? Should that company grow or expand? Is it making products and services that are better than others or worse? And you know, if a company is making compelling products and services, it should get more capital, and if it's not, it should get less or go out of business.
Well, there's a big difference too between someone who's making an incredible amount of money designing and engineering fantastic products versus someone who's making an incredible amount of money by investing in companies or moving money around in the stock market or doing things along those lines. It's a different thing, and to put them all in the same category seems it's very simple, and as you pointed out, it's an attack vector.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really. I do think in the United States especially, there's an overallocation of talent in finance and law. Basically, too many smart people go into finance and law. So, you know, this is both a compliment and a criticism. We should have, I think, fewer people doing law and fewer people doing finance and more people making stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would certainly be better for all involved if they made better stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you know, manufacturing used to be highly valued in the United States, and these days it's not. It's often looked down upon, which I think is wrong.
Yeah. Well, I think that people are kind of learning that, particularly because of this whole pandemic and this relationship that we have with China, that there's a lot of value into making things here.
Yes, somebody's got to do the real work.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, like making a car, it's an honest day's living. That's for sure. You know, or making anything really, or providing a valuable service, like providing, you know, good entertainment, good information. These are all valuable things to do. You know, so yeah, there should be more of it.
You and the Fertitta brothers, you know, heirs to the Station Casino $1 billion fortune, and your former classmates, I guess, were fans of the UFC even before you bought it, would occasionally travel around the country just to sit as spectators at the events, and always thought that you guys could do this better. So when you learned that the UFC was indeed up for sale, what did you do?
Well, what happened was, originally Lorenzo and I were going to get involved in boxing, and I was out with his brother Frank one night at the Hard Rock.
And Lorenzo being the CEO now of UFC.
And we saw John Lewis, who used to fight in the UFC. And Frank said, I've always wanted to learn ground fighting, because we all used to box. So I said, yeah, me too. So we went over, I knew him, we started talking to him, and we set up a lesson for Monday. We told Lorenzo came too, and we started taking jiu-jitsu, and we were blown away by it. Blown away. We fell in love with it. We started training 3-4 days a week. We'd all try to learn more than the other one so we could submit them next time we wrestled. And through that, we started to meet some of the fighters. And then we were blown away by the fighters. These guys were smart. They were incredible athletes. And then we went to our first UFC event, and we sat in the crowd and started to go, man, imagine if they did this, and imagine if they did that. This thing could be big. And then I started managing Tito and Chuck. I met those guys, started managing them, and I got into this huge contract battle over Tito's contract with the old owner. And through that, it lasted almost a year. And through that, I found out that the UFC was in trouble. And like I said, Lorenzo and I were going to get involved in boxing. They were down in Miami. I called them and said, I think this thing's in trouble. I think we could buy the UFC. And a month later, we owned the company.
How was the deal structured between the three of you?
We originally, the deal was I owned 10%. They owned the rest. I was the president, came in and took this thing over and started to run it. Then, you know, throughout the years here, you know, the Abu Dhabi now is a partner. These guys are 10% partners too. So it's me, Abu Dhabi, and Frank and Lorenzo. We bought it for $2 million. They invested another 44 into it. That's one hell of a hobby. You know what I mean? And the way that I look at 44 million is you had like 80-something million before you got taxed and ended up with your 44 million. So it was a big investment. It was more than a hobby. It was definitely a hobby, but it was a business that they 100% believed in. The crazy thing about this is when you start, again, when you start looking at the money side of this thing and you say, what if the Fertittas wanted to sell this? Understand it's a business. And in business, everything is always for sale, you know. But right now, and this might be arrogant, but it's truly what we believe, that we're the only guys that can do this. We're the only guys that can take this thing to where it needs to be. We're definitely the guys that love it, are passionate about it, and have the roadmap for where this thing's going to go. So I can't say that they wouldn't do that. It could happen, and if it did, we'd see what happens. I mean, somebody else would come in and buy it, and you know, maybe me and the Fertittas move on, or I just couldn't see myself. I don't know. I don't know if I could see myself doing it without them.
Really?
We got into this thing together, and we have an amazing work and friendship dynamic. I think that, think about this. The one thing that's made this thing successful has been the relationship between me and the Fertittas. When things were going bad and you're $44 million in the hole and you're losing money, there's going to be some finger pointing. You know what I mean? Oh, you were the wrong guy. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. And never once did they do that and say, we're in the whole 44 million. We think you made a bunch of mistakes. Because I was the only guy over here in the early days. You know what I mean? Then when everything starts taking off and it becomes incredibly successful and you're doing interviews and that's when everybody starts going, hey, this is mine. Hey, I'm the guy. Hey, I made this happen. And there's never been any of that either. There's never been me going back and going, I want more than my 10%. Any successful band, any successful business, you see it happen all the time. Great bands break up. Businesses fall apart because guys start fighting and arguing. Never happens with us. And one of the big reasons is, and I said it earlier, and it's the truth, I could care less about money. I don't care about money. I love this sport. I love this brand, and I love what we're doing. And I get up every day. And treat this thing like I own 100% of it.
April 14th, 1978. Take me to that day and what happens.
Well, Bernie and I were...
Bernie being the other founder of Home Depot.
Bernie Marcus and I were at Handyman Home Improvement Centers. I was the executive vice president and CEO, I think my title was, and he was the president and CEO. And we were part of a company called Dalen, which was a large conglomerate. 21% of the company was owned by the public, which meant that we had all the protections of a public company. But the other 79% was owned by this parent company that was not in good shape. All of its operating divisions were doing poorly, et cetera. There was some trumped up reason, I don't remember what it was, but it was something where the SEC had gotten involved and they came back, did a complete investigation, and whatever it was, they never found anything. There never was anything. But they used that as an excuse to let us both go.
And you guys weren't young guys then either.
I was young. I was only 37 at the time. And Bernie, today that's young. 74, 37 is young. So, and Bernie was 14 years my senior, as is today. So Bernie would have been 51 at the time. I mean, our company, Handy Dan, was the most successful home improvement center company in the country at that time. It was like, you're kidding me. So I remember calling my wife and telling her, Diana.
She thought it was a joke, right?
Yeah, so it was a joke. She started laughing. I said, well, actually, honey, this isn't really funny. I really was fired. I said, really? I said, what? I mean, honestly, yeah, well, you have to tell me about this. Well, I'll tell you when I get home. And she said, I guess this is serious. I said, well, it's serious in that I was fired, so that's true. So we were trying to think about our options, what to do, and both Bernie and I had opportunities to stay in the corporate world and do a variety of different things. And you know, we were fortunate. We had a group of investors led by Ken Langone, who owned a large piece of the 21% of the public part of the company. And so Ken said to us, look, we can get investors together. If you want to do something unique and different in the industry, we'd be happy to invest with you.
What caused you and Bernie to have the idea for a home improvement store of that magnitude?
You know, that time, Bernie had been, and I later went with him down to see Saul Price at the Price Club, which had just started in San Diego. And that unique format, that large warehouse, no frills, very low pricing kind of format. And we said to ourselves, if in our industry, if we ever had to compete with anybody that was, you know, large, no frills, down market, big store, lots of inventory, low pricing, and services, that we couldn't have done it. So the option we had in '78 and going into '79 when the stores were opened up was to kind of fine tune the box a little bit. In other words, take 40,000 square foot. It was all 40,000 square foot, 40% gross margin, 40 employees on the floor, et cetera. So it was a very profitable formula. So we could fine-tune that or try to leapfrog the industry by a number of years. And, you know, with the encouragement really of all of us and Pat and whatever, we said, let's just try to leapfrog everybody in this industry and get way ahead of the curve here. So from there, we went out and started to talk about this thing called, we had no name for it then, whatever the name was.
Bad Bernie's Build-Alls.
Yeah, that was one of them, Bad Bernie's Build-All. And we ended up calling it, it was kind of an innocuous name, it was MB Associates, Marcus Blank Associates, because we didn't have a name. We only ended up with the name of the Home Depot about 2 months before we opened up. One of our investors who lived in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, was taking a train from Bethlehem to New York, and they stopped at a train depot, and they had a discussion, husband and wife, about, well, a depot is a big place, and people bring things there, and it's kind of a warehousey kind of thing, and you know, anything related to the home. How about the Home Depot? And of course, at that point, we were desperate for a national name that we could get a service mark on. And so we said, yeah, we'll take that one.
If you take this money, and you can take any amount you want to take, and you just set it right here, find some place in your house to set it. Just set it there as long as you want it, see if it does anything. Okay? It's not going to do anything.
Right.
Money is useless until it is used. I did not know this. I thought money was valuable. I was taught that money was security. That's why I started a retirement account. I had a retirement account when I was 28 years old. I invested money in a 401k. That's a terminology, as you know, that it says I can get this money when I'm 65 or something. Every year I put that money in that retirement account because I thought that money, because I was taught that money was security. Money has never made me more secure. It doesn't, you know, I end up forgetting it's even over there. I go years without remembering, oh, I got that money over there. You know, I wasn't even thinking about it. I don't know what it's invested in. Put it in mutual funds. I don't know what the mutual funds are.
So then I also asked them why.
No, but I mean, you got to really, you got to swallow this whole stupid thing. That was just dumb.
Right. So I got an incoming call probably about a week ago. Greeted the guy, asked him what I could get him information on. He said he was looking for a forklift. When I tried to qualify him and ask him why he was looking for a forklift, he didn't want to answer any of my questions.
I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you. It's a dumb question. Why are you looking for a forklift? It's stupid. It's just the dumbest question I've ever heard in my life. Guy walks in, hey, I'm looking for a cowboy hat. Why? Fucking dude. Hey, I'm looking for ice cream. I want some chocolate ice cream. I want some Godiva ice cream. Why? That's stupid, dude.
So then I also asked him why.
No, but I
now?
mean, you got to really, you got to swallow this whole stupid thing. That was just dumb.
Right. I agree with you.
Dude, hey, man, I'll be happy to get you a forklift. What's your name again?
Brandon.
Brandon. Yeah. He don't remember your name.
George Foreman Grill. To what extent has it changed your life?
Well, I'd really gotten popular on Madison Avenue. We'd done Doritos, McDonald's, and Meineke. Every commercial there was, we made a lot of money. People would pay you a lot of money to do a commercial. But then after a period of time, Kentucky Fried, they move on to someone else. And finally, a friend of mine said, George, you're making all these other companies wealthy. Why don't you get your own product? I said, sure, how much are you going to pay me? They said, no. We're not going to pay you. Get your own product. And we looked around and found this grill, not in this current form. And we formed a joint venture together.
And how did you go about even finding it, though?
I told them, they said, why don't you they said, let's look around for something. Sam Perlmutter and Henry Holmes, a few other guys. We started looking for a great product. And we found one. No one wanted to be bothered with it at all, this thing.